Hey, it's James Lynch. We finally have an update on welterweight contender Shavkat Rakhmonov, who did an interview today with Ariel Helwani. Shout out to Jedi Goodman for clipping this. And we haven't heard much from Shavkat since that injury last year. He hasn't fought in over a year. And in this clip here, and you can just read the tweet here, it says Shavkat Rakhmonov would prefer to fight for the title next, but he doesn't believe the February-March timeline will work for Islam. Open to fighting anyone else for that number one contender spot, which I think is great news. But let's listen to what Shavkat has to say via his translator, who's also his manager, Sayat. Let's listen to what Shavkat has to say here about his return and his next fight.
Yeah, of course I would prefer to fight for the title next, but I think this timeline not gonna work for Islam, February, March. Probably he will defend his belt in April, May, that time. Of course, if I can fight Islam next, I'm ready, I can do it. But if, also I was supposed to fight for a title, and I had a respectful reason not to take this opportunity, and I was promised also a title shot in the future. But again, if I have to fight before title shot again, I have no problem. I can prove again that I'm the number one contender, I'm the rightful contender. Whoever is on my timeline and whoever's gonna put me in that title spot again, I'm gonna fight.
If that is the case, if they do make you fight someone else before fighting for the belt, who do you think makes the most sense for you?
С кем имеет больше всего смысл тогда подраться до титульного боя-то?
Тоже тяжелый вопрос. У нас дивизионно много чего изменилось. Я думаю...
I don't know if anyone up there speaks the language he does, but we'll skip this part.
Я думаю, сдать заранее дату еще.
Things change in our division. But I see there's like 4 or 5 good options for me. It can be Pradas, it can be Morales, it can be Usman. Also, Buckley been calling me out. You know, DDM might be an option. Just give me opponent, give me time to prepare, and I'll be ready to face anyone.
Do you have a preference?
It's a number one contender fight. Какие-то предпочтения есть, если ты мог бы выбраться?
Ну, конечно, Усманом было бы, не знаю, стараться, без проблем тоже выйти хорошо. А вот с кем угодно сам.
It's an intriguing fight.
Вот так.
Of course, the most intriguing fight for me is Kamaru Usman, but I don't believe he's gonna accept the fight against me. He's been turning down fights against me in the past. And, you know, Buckley been talking a lot, been calling me out for a while, so it will be good to shut him up. But also Prates, he's on a good streak, you know, he's had a spectacular KO last time. And Morales too. So for me, really doesn't matter. There's a lot of good options, and just give me the date and open in advance, and just make sure it's a number one contender fight.
Great stuff here from Shavkat. Love this response. Love that he'll fight anyone, you know, in a day and age now. And I just did a video on a, you know, different division and different topic, but just nice to see fighters come out here like Shavkat and say, look, I'll fight anyone. Cause listen, at the end of the day, if you're going to be a champion, you're going to have to fight these guys anyway. So love the response here from Shavkat. He's willing to fight anyone. The only name in that mix I don't really want to see, he doesn't need to fight Buckley. We saw Buckley lose to Usman. That's not really a fight I'm interested in. Those other names though, I think work great. I would like to see him fight someone coming off a win. I think if Usman is not next, this is absolutely the fight to make. And there's a little bit of a backstory there too, with the fact that Usman and Shavkat trained a little bit back at Killcliff a couple years back. So there could be a bit of a storyline there. I think that's the fight to make. What do I think is going to happen? Like I've said in previous videos, I think they are going to give Kamaru Usman the title shot, even though I don't think he deserves it because he took all of 2024 off and only fought once this year. So really it's been one fight in the last 2 years. You know, if we're going off that same, you know, merit, Shavkat's been off for only 1 year. Why wouldn't he get the shot? He's undefeated. So we'll see how this all unfolds here. Like I said, my first choice would be Shavkat getting the title shot. I think that's such an intriguing fight. This is a guy who, you know, finishes a lot of his opponents. He's coming off a win over Ian Gary, who many feel off merit should be getting the next title shot. So don't have an issue there, but just good to see him talk about coming back. One thing I will criticize Shavkat for a little bit here is that we haven't heard much from him over the last year, right? It would have been better if he did these, you know, interviews more often. It would be more more in the minds of people. And maybe he didn't know when he was ready to come back. It sounded like that injury did take him out for a while, so maybe that was the case. But at least kind of give us an update, because one of the questions I kept getting all the time was, when is Shavkat coming back? And I honestly didn't know, because he wasn't doing much media, wasn't posting a whole lot. So I think first and foremost, the good news is that he does want to fight early next year, which I think is great. If you're the UFC, take advantage of this. Islam says he doesn't want to fight then. Should point out Ramadan takes place Tuesday to February 17th till March 2026. I don't think Islam will fight during that period. So if he's not fighting early next year, he's probably going to fight a little bit later. So that wouldn't have made sense. But then if Islam's not fighting, from what I hear, I don't think Islam's fighting on the Paramount card. And even Shavkat here says he's not going to fight early next year. So are we looking sort of late spring, early summer for Islam? You could do him and Shavkat, but again, it depends what the UFC wants to do here. Now, if for some, so my first preference would be doing a Shavkat and Islam fight. I think that makes sense just because it's a fresh matchup, and I think Shavkat would be a very good test for Islam. I know a lot of people argue that Shavkat has not fought the best opposition along the way. He's fought Gary and he's fought, Stephen Thompson. I mean, let's go look at the resume right now and look who he's fought. Like, I understand that argument. You could make that. It's just that he's also undefeated too. So that makes things a bit intriguing at 19-0, and he's finishing guys, right? Like, he finished Thompson, finished Neal, finished Magny. That gets you pretty excited, but I do understand the layoff crowd. So let's go off the idea that, hey, the layoff's too long, he should fight someone else. If Usman is fighting Islam and Shavkat needs to fight someone else, kind of looking at the rankings here, I think a Michael Morales fight would work, right? They're both undefeated, both have, maybe not the greatest resume. I know Morales knocked out Sean Brady, but outside that, with Gilbert Burns and some of the other wins, that fight could make sense as well. Obviously he beat Ian Gary, so we don't want that rematch. We'd like something a bit fresher here. And I would also like him to fight someone coming off a win. So if we're kind of going with the idea that Usman's fighting Islam next, I wouldn't mind Morales. I wouldn't mind Prates. Let's see, can Prates pass the test of, if I can't knock you out, can I get a win here? He didn't pass that test against Ian Gary. We'll see if he's able to do it there. So I think, like I said, if we're going off the assumption that Islam is fighting Usman next, then I would do Morales or Prates as the opponent. Personally, I'd like to see him fight someone coming off a win. I have no interest in the Buckley fight because I'm fairly positive, Shavkat would win that fight. So I don't think we need to see that. Now, let's put another scenario out there. Let's say they go with Ian Gary as the title, fighting for the title against Islam. Then you would do Usman and Shavkat, like I mentioned there. So these are all the scenarios that I think kind of play out here. But let's hope we see Shavkat fighting early next year. It would be nice to see him get some momentum, get back in the swing of things. His last performance against Ian Gary, there was a lot of criticism there with Gary nearly winning the fight. It was close, right? It was a lot closer than people thought. But I think there's two things that play in that fight. The first one was that Shavkat was obviously injured. We hadn't, obviously he was injured after the fight. We didn't see him compete. And then also, Ian Gary, I think, is better than people think. I mean, people all last weekend, like, he's a good fighter. Say what you want about Ian Gary, the person outside the cage. He's a fighter that does get it done more often than not. So you got to give him some credit there. So yeah, good news here for Shavkat. It's just good to have him back. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. And I really do think when he comes back fully healthy, we will see a much better version of him than what we saw against Ian Gary. I think we could, see him go out there and really have a big year in 2026 as he goes out there. So again, a lot of moving pieces at welterweight. We sort of look at the rankings right now, like I mentioned. It's really up to the UFC what they want to do. Like I said, I kind of feel like they're going to do him and Usman next. And if that's the case, then yeah, I think like my first choice would be, Shavkat fighting like a Michael Morales or Prates or something. I mean, there's not a huge difference as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, good update there from Shavkat. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let's put this in two different categories here. What do you think is going to happen with the title? Who do you think Islam's first title defense at welterweight is going to be against? And then the second thing is, what do you want to see happen? Do you want to see Shavkat get the shot right off the bat? Do you think he should fight someone else? Like, I don't, I think all of them are good options. Like, I don't mind Shavkat fighting someone else. I get the argument that he's been out for a while. I think that's totally fair. And like I said, I think any of these guys that he fights, he would be fighting anyways at some point down the line anyhow. So you could just do it now. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.